In the future, vegetation has died out and people have to pay for oxygen. In the year 2067, the Earth is devastated by climate change. All the vegetation on Earth is extinct, and civilization has collapsed all over the world. Only one city in Australia has been able to withstand these catastrophic changes, thanks to the synthetic oxygen produced by the Chronocorp Corporation. However, this oxygen is contaminated and gradually causes a deadly disease known as the sickness. We find ourselves in a tunnel where Ethan White and Jude Mathers work together for the city's power plant. They successfully re-establish power in the city. At the end of the workday, employees are checked to find out if they are infected with the sickness. One of them said he couldn't work tomorrow. So, Ethan offers to work for him to get more money. On the street, an activist set himself on fire because the system charged taxes on oxygen. Ethan is married to Xanthi, who is infected with the sickness. He loves her immensely and is always trying to provide her with the best oxygen to keep her alive. Xanthi is worried because Ethan spends a lot of money to provide her with the best oxygen. Ethan, on the other hand, calms her down by saying that he will be working more hours. Xanthi starts playing with Ethan, but she suddenly spits blood. It was because of the sickness. The next day, Ethan is called into the office of Regina Jackson, the CTO of Chronocorp. Jude is his best friend, so he follows him into the office. Regina Jackson explains to him that the sickness will eventually wipe out humanity. In conclusion, she told him that he would be the only one who could save them. Ethan is not convinced of this, but the CTO invites him into the lab. In the lab, Regina Jackson showed him the time machine. Ethan's father was a scientist and helped build the machine. They were still testing it and received radio waves from the future. More specifically, 400 years in the future. Along with the radio waves, they received an encrypted message that said, "Send Ethan White." Regina Jackson is sure that in the future, humans have found the cure for the sickness. So, the plan would be to send Ethan into the future to get the cure and come back. In the evening, at a bar, Ethan and Jude are consuming alcohol in its gaseous state. Ethan refuses to go to the future because he may never be able to return. He resents his father for abandoning him and his mother. In fact, while talking to Jude, he has a flashback. On his 8th birthday, his father had given him something special. Ethan inserts his hand into the box to get the gift, and a bracelet sticks to his wrist until it cuts him. His father told him that one day he would understand everything, after which he left. Back home, Xanthi tries to convince Ethan to use this opportunity to save humanity. He, however, doesn't want to leave her alone. Xanthi explains to him how several of her students have died in front of her due to the sickness. Ethan realizes that this might be the only opportunity humanity might have. At night, while Xanthi was sleeping, he left her a flower made of metal with a message on it. After that, he left. In the meantime, Xanthi was crying softly. Ethan is provided with a suit and a device called Archie. After surviving the traumatic time shift, Ethan finds himself in a lush rainforest with only a device permanently attached to his wrist and Archie as his only surviving equipment. Ethan is captivated by the greenness of nature, which he could not see before. Following Archie's instructions, Ethan finds the entrance to a bunker-like structure. Outside the bunker, Ethan finds a skeleton who is wearing his own suit and has a bullet hole in his skull. After finding his Archie from the past, Ethan is shocked. He assumes that he has already passed through this place in the past and died. Ethan then finds his own device on the skeleton's wrist, except it glows green. Ethan manages to turn on the old Archie. The battery was almost running out, and Ethan asks to play the last audio recording. Ethan can hear someone's voice threatening him with a gun. After that, he hears a gunshot, and Archie goes off. Night comes, and Ethan is able to start the fire thanks to Archie's instructions. After that, Ethan ate some berries. But some time passes, and Ethan starts vomiting as a storm begins outside. In the middle of the storm, he saw a yellow light fall to the earth. Someone approached him and injected him with antitoxin. Ethan wakes up to find his friend Jude in front of him. Jude explains to him that from the past, his life readings, transmitted through the Chronicle, were failing. So he had to reach out to save him. Ethan shows him the skeleton, and Jude doesn't want to believe it's Ethan. After that, they start looking for a cure for the sickness. They find a still functioning door that leads to a laboratory. Inside, they find a terminal that welcomed Ethan White. To activate the system, Ethan's DNA is analyzed through the device on his wrist. It is there that Ethan's wrist device is revealed to be a DNA analyzer, created specifically to grant him access to the Chronicle. They realize that they're in the Chronicle's lab, 400 years in the future. As soon as the system activates, the machine prepares for automatic reactivation in 4 hours. Jude naively thinks that this will allow them to return to the past. Once again, Ethan thinks that he from the past has already passed through this place and died. From a holographic recording left behind by Richard White, the two learn that the Chronicle project originally involved the reactivation of an atmospheric monitoring station. The system would ascertain the breathability of Earth's atmosphere in the future, and then transmit the data back to the past. When he first activated the machine, Richard was surprised to receive a message to send his son into the future. So, despite his doubts, he prepared Ethan's wrist analyzer. However, an immediate follow-up mission was impossible because safely sending living matter through time required an operational link on both sides. But the data showed a power outage in 2474. The activation of the Chronicle triggers a malfunction in its nuclear core, threatening to trigger a nuclear explosion before the countdown is complete. This is the power outage that the data has previously indicated. Ethan and Jude head to the power core and find the ruins of their hometown. They find the ruins littered with skeletons, stating that humanity has failed to survive. Moving on further, Ethan finds Xanthi's skeleton, along with the metal flower he left her. We see a flashback in which Ethan's father urgently calls him out to meet him. On the way, a man shoots Ethan's mother in order to steal their mask. After that, Ethan is saved by Jude, giving him his mask. Back in the present, Ethan feels guilty about leaving Xanthi alone. Despite this, Ethan thinks that there should be a way to change things. When Jude tries some words of comfort, Ethan recognizes Jude's voice from a recording he found on Archie's decaying computer, taken moments before his future self was killed. Jude gets nervous and pulls out his gun. Ethan asks him why he has a gun if there is no one here. Then, Jude directs Ethan at gunpoint to the reactor control room. Unable to activate the emergency override, Ethan lets himself get stuck inside the depressurization chamber to initiate a manual restart. He succeeds in diverting the current, preventing a meltdown, and reopening the control room. Unable to breathe, he falls to the ground, just as what happened to him at age 8. And once again, he is saved by Jude. With 37 minutes left to spare, the duo returns to the Chronicle lab, where Ethan finds another exit that opens the entrance next to his skeleton. Ethan deduces that either way, he will get to be killed by Jude. He then swaps Archie's batteries and finds a video recorded before his death. Jude then confesses that there was no real hope of ever changing the future. Refusing to believe it, Ethan locks Jude in a room and plays his father's log from the day Richard died. Ethan learns that Jackson intended to escape his dying moment into the future with a chosen few to start over. Richard, on the other hand, kept hoping that the return message must have been sent by someone, indicating that there is still hope for more humanity. To prevent Jackson's plan, Richard keyed the time machine to Ethan's DNA, but when Richard's colleague announced that the machine could be rigged to send a person into the one-way future, Jackson killed Richard. Jude was appointed Ethan's guardian to ensure that Ethan would be sent in time to repair the power outage and stabilize the time portal. Once Ethan returned to 2067, Jackson would have him killed. Ethan feels betrayed, but Jude asserts that there is no other choice, because it's already happened and he can't change the past. Ethan tries to shut down the Chronicle, but Jude moves to stop him. Jude pushes him against the wall and pulls his gun on him. Jude asks Ethan to fight him, but the last one refuses, and Jude, guilt-ridden, commits suicide. In the meantime, Jackson, along with the Chosen Ones, prepares to go to the future. Just before Jackson can set his plans in motion, Ethan sends the message, "Send Ethan White." The message arrives, and we are taken to the scene where his father, Richard, received this message from the future. In the past, the portal is activated, and Jackson, thinking that Ethan is coming, orders the guard to kill him. Instead of Ethan, Jackson finds in the portal hundreds of jungle plants, the recording of Richard's killing, and a gift to Xanthi. Xanthi receives a beautiful flower from the future. Then, Ethan destroys the Chronicle. This changes the timeline. In the past, Jackson is arrested after Archie transmits the recording to a news station, and plants are used to revitalize the planet. In the future, Ethan's skeleton is gone, so the future of humanity has changed as well. In fact, Ethan discovers that his once ruined city is advanced and populated. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, then find out what happens to a billionaire duke when he hires an inexperienced caregiver.